Hey friends, how you doing today? Thanks for watching. I have a really fun show for you today because I have a couple of individuals with me who really believe in giving back to the community. It's actually how I found them through their community-based activities. And without further ado, let me welcome the Soares team to the show. How you two doing today?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Why don't you first introduce yourself? Maybe we'll start with you, Sean, and then go to Chelsea. Just who you are, where you are in the business, all of that. Just give a frame of reference, and we'll get started from there.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Sean Soares. Born and raised in Fresno, California. I was a teacher for 13 years. Got out of teaching and into real estate. So I do our marketing for the Soares team.
Okay. And Chelsea?
And I'm Chelsea Soares. I've been married to Sean for almost 14 years.
She says that laughing.
Yeah,
that was more of a cackle, I think.
Gotta have humor in our marriage.
And yeah, I started off, I used to be a stay-at-home mom. I ran a daycare at my house, and then I was a personal trainer. And when Sean made the decision to retire from teaching, we decided to go into business together.
Very, very cool. Well, why don't we start there? Why don't we start with the decision to go into real estate, right? You're a stay-at-home mom. You're in physical or health, I don't know, kind of healthcare training, personal training. You're a teacher. What grade what grade were you teaching, Sean?
I've taught everywhere from kindergarten all the way up through senior year. I ended my last 9 years, though, in a continuation.
Okay, very cool. So what made you make that shift? Did you not see a future in teaching? Did you get tired? Did you just want to do something else? What was that transition like?
Yeah, this is a thing that I've been dealing with. She doesn't always like me to talk about it, but I'm open about it now, and I've kind of gotten there. Okay. 2016, December 9th, I was at school. One of my favorite students, I loved a kid like a son, loved me like a dad. Right in the middle of basketball practice, he collapsed and passed away in my class.
Oh my gosh.
So I developed PTSD, dealing with depression and anxiety for the last couple of years. So at that point, I tried to get back, I tried to go back, and I couldn't shake the feeling. I couldn't shake the thoughts. I couldn't shake that PTSD. I didn't know what it was at the time. So I was diagnosed, and I kind of like went into a little dark corner for a while. And I had to do something to help people again, because I knew I couldn't go back to teaching because it was just those triggers. I knew I had to be a part of a team, because doing this by myself might be a little bit challenging, when the symptoms arise of PTSD. So my best friend's the broker here. We've grown up together since 7th grade, and this is kind of like a safe place to be. And it was one of those things that I can come here, I can do what I do best, and that is build relationships. And then I do marketing. I love people. I love what this job has to offer, because you are helping people. There's a psychology behind it. There's, the marketing behind it. And that's kind of what I love anyways about life. So it's something that I can go and be successful at, and at the same time have the support of my best friend and my wife. And, his brother works here. He's like a brother to me. There's people in this office that I've known since 4th grade. So it's a safe place to be.
Awesome. And Chelsea, for you, what was it about this thing called real estate that you're like, yeah, I want to get me some of that?
Well, I have to say, his dad has been a real estate appraiser for 25 years, and we both worked for him in college. And, we used to make copies of plat maps, and I used to be the bill collector. So when people didn't pay, I would be the one to call and collect money. So we had, some experience. And then, like he said, his best friend has been in real estate for a long time, started in title, and then eventually went over to Coldwell Banker. And so we've been around the industry. We had bought a house and sold a house already previously, just, through life. And, we talked about it, and Brandon was really supportive, and he said, I think you guys would be great. And it was something where we could take our business into our own hands and use what we had already developed and already worked for in other careers in a different way. So we didn't lose any contacts. We didn't lose any friends. We didn't lose anybody by switching into real estate. We just transitioned everybody and, rebranded ourselves as realtors. We didn't have to rebrand us. Everybody knows what they get when they work with us. That part has already been set in stone for a long time. We're in our mid-30s. So there was no work to be done on that front. It was just upper 30s, some of us.
Yeah.
So
you both are babies.
Yeah, it was just, well, thank you. It was just, creating that rebranding, letting people know now we're realtors. Like we're still Sean and Chelsea, but no, we're not teaching anymore. No, we're not training anymore. We are realtors. So.
Yeah, and what you two bring to the table, first off, when we did this before we hit the record button, I had thought you both had been in the business at least 5 years, because what I've seen you guys do on social media and the teaming aspect and just the gravity of the Soares team is something I don't see very often. So you're doing great things for yourself and the community. You've always had clearly this service first attitude, or this, leaning forward and helping. Yeah. Why don't we talk about some of the things that are important to you in the community? Not only the money, but let's talk about the time, because I've seen you guys commit on the time perspective. Why don't we give that a special shout out, if you don't mind?
For us, we, time is everything. Before, when you're a teacher, you have summers off, you have vacation off, and those are times to recharge. But at the same time, those are also times to go and give to people outside of your school. So what we really started to do right now is, like, again, I can't be in a classroom for that amount of time anymore before my mind starts to spin out. So it's like, well, what can we do to kind of get that scratch that itch? And Pinedale Elementary School, my first year teaching was there. It's just, they feed into the high school that my daughters are going to go to. Just an amazing bunch of teachers, the kids, and certain times, you get these kind of kids that all they need in life is hope. They need somebody to believe in them. And all of a sudden you plant that seed and it will sprout one day and it will flower huge. So it's about us being able to give whatever resources we have. And that is, if they need something, it's time. I just made a flyer I do marketing for our business. What's making a flyer for a salsa festival, promoting the salsa festival? But the flyer I sent, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Sean." And it's something so simple that in her mind and her eyes and her heart, it really uplifted her to think like, "Man, thank you." And to me, it's just like, I'm just doing what God has sent me here to do, and that's help people. So it makes it really easy to go, if they need whatever, let's just go do it. Very and the other one that we do, I'll let her talk about.
Well, and real quick, I want to say a lot of this is it's embedded in us because our family set the example. Like a lot of our family members are, law enforcement. We have a lot of teachers in our family. My mom, she was the PTC president my whole life growing up. She did everything and always volunteered, to this day volunteers. Like there's never a time my mom's not volunteering for some organization or another. So
my parents have taken in what you would call strays, kids. They adopted they took guardianship of my sister when she was a senior in high school. So, they're like all along the way, we've accumulated and passed on love. And to us, that's the only thing that matters in this life, is our connection with people and the love that we can give. Nothing else really matters. So it's like, this is just a way that we can go and do that. And the other thing, we'll cut back, the bully rescue. So we have a few dogs. We can't really say how many we have, but we have a few dogs that we love. The last dog we got was our limit dog, and it was actually my student that passed. It was his dog. So we brought him into the family to leave us with quite a few dogs, and we just love the bully breed. They're misinterpreted, they're misrepresented, just like kids that are from a struggling background. A lot of people put labels on these kids. A lot of people put labels on pit bulls because the pit bull that they're looking at wasn't raised properly. So we go out to the Fresno Bully Rescue. We have a really good relationship with them, and we go and offer, we post a Furball Friday. Every Friday we post an adoptable pet, and then we go out to the Bully Rescue and walk dogs, which is something for us to be able to give our time back. And then we do donate to each one of these causes. We donate a portion of our commission checks to them to just say, hey, you need help. We have time, but here's also some money. Because if you're going to work and you're going to thrive in a place in your community, we really feel that it's our duty to give back monetarily as well as time to say, hey, we appreciate our community that we live in, and we're going to make a difference.
Yeah, I really like that you're giving both, right? Because sometimes people find it easier to give one or the other, right? Either time or money, right? Write a check, get it out of the way, or give your time. I like that you do both, and you've made your choice, right? You're like, I'm here, right? Pinedale Elementary, the Bully Rescue. I really find that admirable, and I would challenge each of us watching this to find what that thing is for you, because the rewards or what comes back to you is so much more than what you put out there. Chelsea, maybe for you,
there's a richness in that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a richness in that no amount of money can ever buy.
Amen.
You know, when we're out there, we put the phones down, they're away, and you dedicate your time, and there's nothing that can replicate that. No amount of money ever.
And it's one of those things that Pinedale is a school. Now, I did my initial student teaching at a place called Sierra Vista, and the program that we're kind of building, we're trying to encourage, it's not just us doing stuff, and that's the beauty of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to empower people to go and help out wherever they can. So, you know, right now we have Pinedale, and that's going to be our little baby. But the next school is Sierra Vista, and that's a feeder school to when I was in high school, to our rival high school. It's about taking somebody and getting somebody to recreate what we're doing at Pinedale and start it and say, here's the blueprint. Recreate this at Pinedale. At Sierra Vista now. And all of a sudden we got 2 schools being serviced and helped and cared about and giving hope to. And it's not just from us. It might be a seed that we planted with somebody, but it's something that's just going to keep growing and growing.
Yeah,
and it's all networking. Just like you network for your business, you know, we're able to network for these schools and these organizations. So if there's a need, you know, we're not always the ones that provide it, but we can network with people and get them involved. And that's the beauty of it. And that's how it truly grows. It's not by keeping it just for ourselves. It's by introducing as many people as possible. Yep. and creating new partnerships so that it can be sustained.
Yeah. And one of the things that both of you are doing so well, I've said it lots of times, is real estate's a people business, right? And I say that from an investor's perspective. But obviously from a realtor's perspective, whose business is predominantly owner-occupants, it's even more so, right? The ability to network and put out good work, and that are just, again, that gravity that you two are attracting to you is phenomenal, and you should be very proud of what you're doing. You know,
Thank you.
One thing that I think is unique about the two of you is the team, right? The Soares team. And I understand both of you were athletes earlier in life. And again, mid-30s, you're still babies. But remember way back when you were athletes in high school and college. First off, what was the sport or sports? And then how do you think that helped you transition to what you now is the Soares team? Maybe we'll go Chelsea first.
I was soccer and track.
Okay.
So I understand both dynamics. You know, it's like soccer is truly a team sport. Track is not so much a team sport. You have to kind of run your own race, and that applies in real estate because you have to tune out the noise of what everybody else is doing or saying and just kind of, you know, put your blinders on and do your thing. So I learned a lot of lessons from track, and I see how it applies in real estate for sure.
Very cool.
And I was a headbanger. I played football. So I played in high school, went to Fresno City, and then ended at New Mexico State. And for me, there was a sense of sacrifice and the type of football that I played that, you know, I mean, before each game I went out there and like prepared to die because you never know what's going to happen with the way I played. Like I'm trying to inflict as much pain and punishment on people because I knew that when my teammates saw that, they knew I was willing to give the ultimate sacrifice for them, and that let them really look up to me as a leader. So then I started building my leadership skills at a young age because coaches saw it and it was like, hey, you know what? Sean is that guy. Let him foster this relationship with his teammates. Let him go and be that leader. And it really has been able to, you know, as the years have progressed, not even just in sports, but in life, you know, people say, you know, football, it's the figurative language of getting knocked down, getting back up. I mean, that's every single time you play, unless you score a touchdown at running back, you're going to get knocked down and you're going to get back up, you know? So, you know, injuries happen, all these things, but it's being there to encourage your teammates to be the best they can be in the face of true adversity. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens on the football field, but it's like, hey, you know what? I'm here showing you by example. All you got to do is follow me. And I was a vocal leader as well, but what kind of leader are you? It doesn't matter. If you're out there doing it by example, that's just as good as somebody that's speaking about it. But if you can do both, then it's like, hey, I can teach you what I'm doing, and I can learn from you, and I can, you know, converse that to everybody else. But it's also learning and being able in a sport. I think a lot of times people that haven't played sports, it's hard to take criticism. You can tell me anything that I'm doing wrong, and I can sit there and accept what you're telling me, and then, hey, but please have a solution. I don't want to just hear criticism without how to fix it. But I will take that because, you know, at running back, it's like if I'm carrying the ball wrong and I'm fumbling, I never fumbled. I put one ball on the ground, so I recovered it. So just disclaimer, I've never fumbled. But if I had, I would fix it because I don't want to keep making mistakes. So I think that's where sports kind of teaches you a lot.
I would have guessed you were a linebacker, but you were a fullback.
I started my college career, safety my freshman year, running back my sophomore year, fullback I finished. But I was a kick returner my first 2 years.
Very, very cool. I can envision that, and I can see that intensity in you. Focus. So that's awesome. And
I've gone back. My coaches had me go back and do speeches, and I've had kids come up to me like they were in that and like, dude, you're like intense.
Yeah,
like,
you're just a little intense. Well, and again, both of you, right? I mean, athletics teach us a lot, both about ourselves, also, but how to attract following is in your teammates, right? Being that vocal leader, but also competition, right? And then the ability to learn because you don't always win, right? How to improve and how not to get knocked down and stay down. I mean, there's so many things in life that if you pay attention, athletics can teach you. So let's talk about what you two have done in the last 18 months as far as launching this team and being what I consider very successful. What do you think are the keys to that success as a team in this business? Because it's hard to work as a husband and wife because you're with each other all day, then you're at work with each other, and sometimes people look at work as the way to get away from their spouse, frankly, right? So how does that work with you two?
And trying to raise decent human beings on top of it all.
And then on top of that, so we have our 2 kids, and then we have an exchange student from Italy, and then we have our previous exchange student came back for college. So we have a house of 4 kids, the 2 of us, a few dogs, so it is a full house, and it is balancing because you have young women in your house that you're trying to give a role model of how to be women. You have young kids, you're trying to give them a role model how to be good humans. We have a relationship that we have to balance as married, a couple. And then we have this work dynamic that at first, and I think the biggest thing, to address the question, when we first started, it's like we're both trying to be realtors. And how is that possible? Unless you have your own deal, I have my own deal, but that's not the case because with the stuff that I deal with, my mental health issues, and she doesn't like when I say it, but I can't do what she does. I couldn't, because all of a sudden I have an anxiety attack in the middle of something, and then I'm like, where did he go? He just left. And so, but at first it was like, well, how can I assist you as much as I can? And we started crossing over. And there was too much crossover. I'm like, well, did you call? Well, did you call? We both called, or nobody calls, or we're both doing something, or neither one of us are doing it. So we really had to establish some guidelines and say, okay, well, what is our role in this business? Where are our strengths? Our strengths in our marriage and our weaknesses in our marriage are exactly the same in the workplace. I'm not organized. Like I'll put stuff in a random place and I'll know where that random place is, but to somebody else, it's like, where is that? It might take me a minute to find it, but I know where it is.
I was going to say, you may or may not know where that random place is, okay?
Most likely.
Or else you wouldn't be asking me where the keys are as frequently.
Keys are different.
Okay?
Keys are everywhere, all the time. They're one day, they're another. But it really is. And again, it's like you going back to the team.
Yeah.
I can't sit there and try to do the quarterback's job. I'm playing running back. Yeah. I'm going to assist the quarterback the best I can. If it's time to pass block, I'm going to block the best I can. Or I'm going to run the ball the best I can to free up play action. So it's like I can't worry about her and what she's doing, and I have to completely trust in what she's doing and vice versa. So she does everything that the realtor would do, and that's her job. I do all the marketing. And there's a line, and it's a clear-cut line. Yeah, we still talk about it and brainstorm both sides, because I think that there's a chess that you play on the realtor side, and there's a psychology that's played on the marketing side, that we have to get another opinion, a critical opinion, to make them the best they can be.
And we definitely always collaborate on numbers. We go on listing appointments together. Like, there's a lot of collaboration that takes place in that. When it comes to like the transaction work, that's kind of when I take over and handle that side of it. But it took us a while to get there. I mean, it took a lot of headbutting, and we didn't have an office when we started, so we're in a cubicle, like whispering angrily at each other, like, I mean, like trying to, because we're not quiet people and everyone knows that about us. So it's trying to like, okay, now we're in an office atmosphere with other people, and like, how do we yell at each other and like give the look, you know, and try to maintain.
I can hear that look. She was like, yeah.
The look.
Oh my, dude.
But once, and then, you know, it's hard too, because then at first when we were having those battles in the business, it was bringing friction home. And so once we finally got our groove and established our roles, we were happier in our business lives, we were happier in our personal lives, and it made us more effective. It just made us more, you know, streamlined.
And I do think that us going home and not being able to escape each other, it caused an environment that we had to have resolution right now. So I think that we took our business model and we advanced it by so much more than if we would have been just separate. We come back to work, we discuss, we're separate. Now it's like, we better hash this out because it's going to affect our marriage, it's going to affect our kids. So now all of a sudden it forced us to speed up the process of doing that. And now, I mean, there's still a little bit of crossover, because at times I feel like a little bit like, man, she takes the whole realtor job and I don't have a lot of say in it, because I don't in a sense. So I do like to collaborate, especially on things that I might be able to offer my opinion on. But then again, ultimately, her name is on the contract. It's her. So it's like, I could only say so much, but I have to trust that when I say something, that you're going to do what's best for the business, and vice versa.
And I will say, we did, going into this in real estate, we knew we had a goal, and it was not for us to both be full-time realtors, because we know the amount of hours that it takes. And our kids, you know, him being in teaching and me working, you know, part-time, we always devoted a lot of time to our kids. And our youngest is in 5th grade. So we only have 7 years before they're going to be graduated high school. I'll be like 42, 41, you know, so we didn't want to, you know, we wanted to have our cake and eat it too. We wanted to grow a business, but not at the sacrifice of our family. You know, that was not something we were willing to do. So the two of us combined, we try to have us two combined be one, you know, great realtor. But
or like my broker says, 1 1/4. Because then I look at the time spent, and you look at top realtors, they're here at 7 in the morning and leave at 10. So then I justify in my mind, okay, that's 13 hours. So if we spent, you know, 6.5 hours here on a day, then we match a top realtor as far as time goes. And we look at everything that that another single realtor would outsource, because she does spend more than the 6.5 hours, and that, there's no doubt about it. She's on call, so to speak, but there are times to unplug. But it's one of those things that I look and I'm like, wow, all the stuff that I do with the marketing, and I'm like, man, and then she's over here doing all it. Like, one person has to do this when they're a realtor by themselves, and that's quite a task. So it makes sense. And, you know, and I think that learning, again, goes back to being a student of like an athlete. You're always trying to get better. So I have been in the process, like, I want to go and take classes in psychology and take classes in marketing, to go and, you know, I mean, I went to school to be a teacher, but to learn as much as I can, that we can provide value, not just to ourselves, but the people in our office. Because, I mean, our brokerage is our team, and as much info, and everyone here is very free flowing with ideas. If you need help, doors are open. It's like, I can go get help from whoever I need it from. So I want to be able to provide that back. And if my strength is marketing and my strength is relationships, at one point it's like, hey, if I need to go start like helping in the recruiting side, or I need to help with whatever, then hey, I'm a teammate. Let's do it.
That's awesome. So let's get you guys some business. So you obviously help people buy and sell. Why don't you maybe Sean, start with you? How do you help market either? Like, if you get a listing, what are some things you do on that side? If you're looking for buyers, what are some kind of the questions you look for? You know, basically, why should somebody call the Soares team and get 1 + 1 is 3? Why don't you go first, Sean?
Absolutely. I mean, our social media game, I think, is second to none.
Oh, no question. No question.
No question. So it's about exposure. I mean, and the thing is if you have the right price, the only thing that's not going to sell is the exposure. So how do you get the exposure? So on my side, Chelsea does a lot of the calling, and I'll let her talk about that. But on my side, there's always mailers that go out, depending on if it's a sell or a buy. But there's always mailers that go out to the neighborhood. You never know, somebody could be looking to buy or sell in that neighborhood and say, hey, I have a friend that I want to move in. So, and then the social media, it's not just posting it on our Soares team page, but there's different things that you do within that page to get more likes. And basically, the more likes you have on a page, the more people see every time you post. So then I go on, and then there's a lot of people look at their Facebook page as the end all, but there's a whole nother layer of Facebook Manager that you go in, and now all of a sudden you can really start to fine tune. There's different things that are changing all the time, and I'm constantly involved with the Facebook side of it to see, okay, what's working. When I go on Facebook anymore, it's probably a good thing because you can spend too much time on it, but I'm looking now at, why did that get so many likes? Why did that get so much engagement? Okay, what is this? So I'm constantly studying Facebook to see how is, when I post a property, how is it going to get the most likes possible? How is it going to get the most exposure possible? There's different things you can use, or different categories on there. Sometimes I just want people to see this property. If it's a picture, I want as many people to see it. If it's a video, I want as many people to watch it. I want to be able to target specifically in certain areas. When we send mailers out, it's so specific that we send to price point of their house, their current house, equity. We're looking at, age, family members, age. So now all of a sudden we're looking at this. Who is this house going to fit? And that's where it goes in the psychology of the person that's going to move. What is this person, when they go to move, what are they thinking about? Or are they upsizing because they're at a certain age and they have this much equity in a house and they make X amount of money? They probably want to move. So we're trying to attach as much as we can, as much value as we can to when we do sell a house. On top of social media, and that's just one of the things. On top of social media, we have once a month, we go on Central Valley Today. It's a local news station, and we have our listings of the month. So we go and show it to the tens of thousands of viewers that look on this show, and we show the property. So these are some of the things, because it is truly about exposure. I mean, you look at the photography, we never take cell phone pictures. It's always 100% with a professional photographer. Now, there's different layers of the professional photography depending on the house. So we'll say, this house right here needs twilight photos. This house needs a video. We just did one, like an empty cribs type video, that we're trying to be cutting edge, so that when people see it, like, oh, I love it. I love what they're doing. They can do this with our house.
Well, and for that house in particular, it had to do with, that idea kind of spoke to us. We were at the house and we thought, what separates this house from other houses? And it was the intangible things that you can't replace or you can't update, and so we thought, well, what better way to highlight the home than to feature those things that are unchangeable? So that's kind of how we did the MTV Cribs. But
you want to give a shout out to the property address so somebody could look it up and see what y'all are talking about?
Yeah.
Go for it.
21672 Westmere Lane, Bryant, California, 93626.
And then again, they can go to your page and it's one of your last videos or whatnot. Cool.
Oh yeah, you can search all.
Or even on our website, www.thesoaresteam.com. It'll show up on there as well.
Yeah, so people go check it out. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's important for people to know that we really do invest in our business, not just for our benefit, but for our clients' benefit. Like, we are a part of the statewide MLS because we want all of our listings to be seen by the most amount of people possible. So we could leave it at 4,000 Fresno eyes, or we could take it to 93,000 statewide. So it's a no-brainer, things like that we want to make sure that we're doing every single thing possible to sell homes.
We were told at the beginning of this when we started. I mean, again, we had a working knowledge of real estate, but our broker goes, invest in yourselves.
Yeah.
And there was many opportunities in teaching that there was an opportunity for me to really invest in myself in a sense, to say, hey, I'll go to this position here and I'll take this job. But I did what was comfortable. But when he was like, invest in yourselves, it really rung true, because investing yourself in this business is, throwing money back into your business. And we've done that on such a scale that I didn't find out until like 6 months after, 10% of what you make goes to marketing. And we were like, oh God, we kind of threw a lot out. But at the same time,
well, we signed a TV contract, a 12-month TV contract, 6 months into real estate, and it was like, oh man, are we really sure we want to do this? And we said, yeah, we need to do this. It's necessary for branding and for our future in the business.
And going back to that branding, like she was talking about, we have people know us as Sean and Chelsea. You're just good people. but we had to cross over. And the only way we can do that is for brand awareness. And we had to push out there as much as we could. I mean, we tried different things, and it's like we threw a lot of money at first because we have to make a big splash in order for us to get the deals to start coming in. So then we could start investing back into our business on a steady rate for the years to come. But we had to make that big splash.
Yeah. And then Chelsea, just to follow up with that earlier question about what do buyers and sellers get from the team, the Soares team? What do you bring, right? Obviously, Sean's bringing all the marketing and all that social media game, which again is on point. What is your side of the equation?
Yeah, so when we're working with buyers and sellers, most importantly, they'll know that they're going to get honesty from me and an extremely high level of communication, because there's a lot that goes on at any given point. I never want my clients, whether they're buyer or seller, to be in the dark. So I'm constantly communicating with people. I mean, whether it's, this home down the street just sold or it's pending, like, well, great, now that's, one less one to worry about, and we have more people focused on your house, whatever the case may be. Having conversations with buyers. We were out actually with my brother and his new fiance looking at houses over the weekend. And we said, look, you guys, what's your 5 and 10 year plan? Yeah. If you get a smaller house, like it fits you right now, are you going to outgrow it? You want to buy acreage at some point, get those things figured out. And that's going to help us, search more efficiently. So you have to really have good, intimate relationships with your clients to be able to know these things and help them in the best way possible.
And and there's intention behind it too. And there is a sense of emotion that happens that you have to remove yourself from emotion, because in the end, what's best for the client. And there was a deal that we had early on when we were, still looking to get deals, and we gave up a buy because we want to make sure that the buy, and we had been looking for months for these people to get a house, and it was, you know what, it's going to be better because this specific area, it's a development that they don't come up often. It's going to be better if you have a contingent sale to have the person selling your house, because they had a friend that was selling the house and they were buying it, and said, you know what, we want you to get the house more. We didn't search for this long just for us to get a commission check. We did it so you could get the house. So by all means, this is going to work better for you. Let him take it. And that to us, and that was one of those tipping points early in our career that we got to test our resolve and say, who are we as people, as realtors in this business? Are we the type of people that are looking for a check? Are we the type of people that are going to do what's right every time? And that might be giving up a deal. That might be not getting a listing because we're not going to sell a dream to somebody if the price isn't right. We're sorry. We'd rather disappoint you now than disappoint you later. If this is the price, this is the price. And if we have a struggle with that, let's say, the price is there, there's comps all over the place. We don't just look at each other and say, hey, let's get these numbers. We go to our sales manager, we go to our broker. I'll go to my dad, the appraiser, and I say, hey, this is the number that we have. Let's talk. Let's see, why do you think this versus why we think this? And let's come up with a price that is right. So then we go back to our clients. If there's a disagreement, we can say, we've talked to 5 people about this price point, and this is what we feel is right. So sorry, if you can go to somebody that can list it higher, by all means, that's you might wait a little bit longer, you might not sell it, but hey, we're going to do the best we can with honesty right from jump. Yeah.
And I think that's going to, you're going to be building relationships for years, which both of you are clearly good at historically and will be in the future. And your black book or Rolodex or whatever you call it these days is just going to go, because clients are going to be repeat business. They're going to bring referrals. I can only imagine what % of your business is already referrals, which is impressive after 18 months. I just can't wait to see what happens in 36 months and all of that. So on that umbrella, or on that question, where do you see taking this in 5 years? It's obviously still the Soares team, I have to imagine, but what is it? Do you have offshoots of that, or what? Fast forward 5 years, what are you both thinking?
Well, we definitely, in the next 5 years, we definitely want to be investors ourselves. So whether it's buy and hold, whether it's, flips. I mean, we have friends, we remodeled our own house over the summer, which I wouldn't recommend.
Brutal.
That kind of got out of control. Like anything, it started with the bathroom.
Snowball.
And then
the snowball.
There we go. Now balls are gone and but you know, we do enjoy that side of things too, and we have friends in the business that there's different partnerships that people have kind of discussed, and so I see ourselves definitely doing that within the next 5 years.
But I do see building, you know, it would be nice. I mean, and like it says in you know, all the experts say, you get your assistant, you get your solid assistant. It starts with that. So, and from that point, you know, again, being an athlete and a leader, it would be nice to have a team, a bigger team than the two of us, and really just try to expand and go and help people and mentor people along the way, because that's one thing that I miss, is being a mentor, being a teacher. So we reach out beyond the real estate world. You know, there's a few Fresno City soccer girls that we've kind of brought into our fold, into our family, and we kind of give, you know, guidance and just a home to come eat dinner and hang out. But to bring that to the workplace and be able to build a strong team of best practices and be able to help people expand their business as a first-time realtor or a growing realtor, to say, hey, this is everything that we have, and we're just going to give it to you freely because we want to see people succeed. And in 5 years, I mean, hopefully we're you know, rising the ranks in Fresno and beyond, and we want to take our business to Central Coast, and even, you know, down to Santa Barbara, all the way up to, you know, Tascadero. And being able to do that, we're going to need a team to be able to have a home base in Fresno and still be able to branch out there. So I think that there's that on the rise. As far as that 5-year goal is I'm looking at it as it's, the possibilities are endless. So I don't put a cap, and I don't set a goal to say this is what it is. This year we have our goal, and it's one day at a time. It really is, because if we start looking too much in the future, then I don't want to get bogged down with anything, because right now, today, this moment is all that matters, and I want to do the best I can in this moment. So I think that with that, the future is going to take care of itself for sure, and that team and whatever God's plan is for our business, He's going to guide us in that light.
That's awesome. So as we close this out, I always turn it over to the guests. How can people get a hold of you? Obviously, you help people buy, sell, investors. You have so much going on. How can they find you and reach out and connect with you?
Yeah. Well, our phone number is 559-825-1823.
Yep, that's the number.
Sometimes.
That's the number.
We use a Google number, you know, for anything that's out there publicly. And then, you know, when it comes to clients and if we need to release our personal cell phones, we do that. But
so one more time, the Google number is what? 559
825-1823.
Okay. All right. Is that how you want people to get a hold of you? Or how can they follow you?
Yeah.
That's the best. And then Facebook at Iron Key Couple on Facebook, and then the Soares team on Instagram. And then our website is www.thesoaresteam.com. Last name spelled Soares.
And I want to thank you both for this. This has been exactly as much fun as I thought it would be. You both are very authentic. You're giving back. I'm still shocked you've only been in the business 18 months. Your social media game is on point. Sean, you should be very proud of yourself. And Chelsea, what you're doing out there and selling and helping people buy is awesome. I've seen it for quite a while now. So please, if you're looking to buy or sell in Fresno, check them out. The Soares team is legit. And I want to thank you both and have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you so much.